Good afternoon. We're on our brand new series named Impact. So we will be discussing this on this weekend. And again, this is a standalone topic after our Forward series. And how many of you here appreciate yung movement natin, Move Values the Next Generation? Yeah, so ba talaga yung heart ng victory ng Every Nation for the next generation, and even here in Every Nation Campus Baliwag, we really believe that God has in store a lot for the next generation in our city. And well, to continue on with our discussion, let me just first flash yung question ni Pastor Lloyd, which was posted on Facebook. Sabi niya, nobody lives in the future and everybody lives today. Now, what can we do today that will contribute our desired future? Ano yung pwede natin ma-invest today that will contribute kung ano yung mangyayari sa next generation? And here we can see some answers. Adrian, sabi rito, he wants to help educate the uneducated, share the gospel, transform lives, through sharing God's Word, help the needy, share food to the hungry, establish a culture of generosity, honor our fathers and mothers, treat women with absolute purity. So, ganyan kadami yung nasa heart niya in terms of the next generation. And even si Joey, sabi niya dito, he wants to pray and ask to help you create a step-by-step procedure. He wants to help the next generation to really know the yung desired future nila and to take it to the next step. And even Brian mentioned here, he wants to help and serve everyone that he can, connect them with each other for them to address the personal concerns, relationship with God, and to know their God-given gifts and hidden potential so that later on they can contribute to the community. And we don't want to waste yung mga gift that God has given him in terms of to use everything for God's glory and honor Him. Si Kenneth naman, sabi niya dito, I will continue to educate young minds and point them to Jesus. So, every year po, we have a campus week, and again, today we'll be talking about impact. And sa Every Nation Campus po, we had this tagline, change the campus and change the world. Kasi we really value the next generation and we want to empower them in terms of their leadership, integrity, faith, and excellence. And we believe that as they change the campus, once they graduated, alam namin na gagamitin sila ng Panginoon in terms of changing the world. And talking about the dreams and the visions that we have for our next generation, ako po, I was just reminded when I was still in high school, parang may conversion sa amin yung facilitator ng isang retreat. Sabi niya, parang close your eyes and dream of the things that you want to be in the future. And I can still remember yung time na when I close my eyes and I see myself wearing blue long sleeves and in the office. So parang from then on, that's my motivation when I finish college. And I work in a bank, and right now, a full-time minister. And I believe that tayo rin po, we have a lot of vision, personal dreams and visions in our lives. And now, my question is that, ano po naman ang ating dreams and visions for the next generation? Because what will be investing of today will affect what's going to happen in the future. And again, in Every Nation po, in Victory, we dream that we will change the campus and change the world. We believe that God has called us to prepare and really empower the students to live a life that is full of integrity, faith, and excellence. And we dream also to see students really honoring God, see students being used by God to transform and change the campus. We want the students to rise up and be an example to their community. And we dream that the next generation will really have an impact, not just in our localities, but in the whole world. So, now, interestingly, may mga visions po tayo. Yes, we have so many dreams in our lives, but sometimes our dreams and visions, may mga challenges po. And same thing with the dreams and visions that we have for the next generation. There are some challenges that the world is trying to dictate sa mga kabataan natin ngayon that we really want to address this morning or this afternoon. And our dreams and visions for the next generation, again, faces competition. Because the world is trying to snatch away the purpose ng mga kabataan natin ngayon. And today, that is the reason why we have this series. And we'll be talking about a person who received a dream, who has a vision in the future, and just like us, siya mismo nagkaroon ng mga ups and downs sa buhay niya, siya mismo nagkaroon ng mga challenges in his life. And as we look on this person's life, our hope is that we will dream again. Na parang yung sinabi nga ni Rizal na parang kabataan ang pag-asa ng bayan, do we still have that in our mind? Kumbaga, do we still find it relevant in our time? Na yung mga kabataan natin ngayon, parang can we still entrust them of what's gonna happen in the future? And ang goal po natin this preaching is that we would really dream again and believe and have that vision for the next generation. Because again, we believe that the future is bright when we focus on the young generation of today. And if you're a young person here, our goal is really for you to learn a lot from the life of this person. And this person that we will be talking about this afternoon is no other than Joseph, the dreamer. Si Joseph po nakilala natin, some of you here kilala siya as the dreamer. And first, just to give a background of who Joseph is, it says in Genesis chapter 37, verse 2, "These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was pasturing the flock with his brothers. He was a boy with the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's wives, and Joseph brought a bad report of them to their father." So dito po, we can see that Joseph was introduced as a 7-year-old man. And immediately, we see something interesting dun po sa verse na to, 17 years old. And sabi ko, Joseph brought a bad report of them to their father. And si Joseph po ay pangalawa sa pinakabata sa anak ni Jacob at ni Rachel. And reading further doon sa Genesis 37 po, makikita natin na parang si Joseph po ay isang bata na parang probably out of pride, shared yung kumbaga boast about yung mga dreams po na napanaginipan niya. And like for example po, his dreams of the sheep of his brothers bowing down to the sheep, and at the same time, yung moon, sun, and the stars would down to him. And yung dreams po na yun, yung panaginip niya po na yun, it creates a story, yung kumbaga, yung momentous life ni Joseph has been transformed. Doon na po, mula po doon sa panaginip na yun or sa dream na yun, parang naging snowball na yung events at experiences that Joseph encountered. And we would also look at his life, how God has intended yung mga things, yung mga nangyari sa kanya, the bad things, and turn him into a world changer. So now we'll be talking about his characters of Joseph that we can learn in terms of how we can make an impact in the campuses today. Joseph was basically a person who lived a life of leadership, integrity, faith, and excellence. And we will see a clear picture of that in Genesis 39 as we read it. And there are events that happen in his life, even yung brother niya, because of the reports or yung shinare niya lang yung panginaginip niya, yung brothers niya has plot to even sold him as a slave sa Ishmaelites nung time na yon. And our story would start on Genesis chapter 39 verse 1. Okay, it says here, "Now Joseph had been brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the guard, an Egyptian, had bought him from the Ishmaelites who had brought him down there." So dito makikita po natin na si Joseph, binili po siya ni Potiphar. Isa siyang officer ni Pharaoh. And dinala po siya doon sa Egypt, and binili nga siya at, para gawin siyang servant doon. And now, in Genesis, the first characteristic of Joseph that made him a world changer can immediately be found on the next verse, which is in verse 1. Sabi doon, now Joseph, and so it says here in the verse that the Lord was with Joseph, and he became a successful man. Okay, he became a successful man, and he was in the house of his Egyptian master. So the first character that I want to share to you is that Joseph have lived a life of faith. Okay, we can see here that the Lord was with Joseph. God was with Joseph. This tells us that Joseph was a man of God. Okay? Someone who had a dynamic relationship with God, and the things made him successful do sa mga major decisions that he had in his life. And I believe that for us to make an impact in the next generation, we have to live a life of faith, okay, like Joseph. And Joseph was a man of faith. He was a young man who has faith in God. And you see, for things to happen, for change to happen in the campuses, for change to happen in our community, for change to happen in the world, we really believe that we need God to be with us. And we need to have faith in God, believing that He is indeed with us. And even in Acts chapter 7, verse 9 and 10, Stephen was recounting on the story of Joseph here, and he highlighted the truth about that God was the one who was with him and helped him to face the challenges in his life. It says in this verse, "And the patriarchs, jealous of Joseph, sold him into Egypt, but God was with him and rescued him out of all the afflictions and gave him favor and wisdom before Pharaoh, king of Egypt, who made him ruler over Egypt and over all his household." So the truth is, it's a verse that we can see the encouragement for us, that as we desire to make the change, to make things happen or change to happen in our campuses, in the lives of the next generation, we are reminded that we can do so because God is with us. It says here that God was with him and he was actually rescued by God in all his challenges and affliction in his life. And apart from that, not just God is with him, not just God has rescued him, but he was also given by favor and wisdom by God. And now this phrase that the Lord was with Joseph, or the Lord was with him, has been repeated many times po sa Genesis chapter 39. Around 4 times po. And this goes to show that God is really reminding us that that seeing His plans happen, seeing His dream happens, need His guidance. Na magkailangan po natin magkaroon ng faith sa Kanya. And for the next generation leaders, and for the young people here this afternoon, my question is, how is your relationship with God? How is it dynamic? How are you growing in your walk with God? In the hardest season of your life, in the hardest challenges in your life, yung mga great things nyo, I am assuring you right now that God is showering you with His love like what has been experienced by Joseph. And that in God you can forget all the hardship that you experience, and amidst everything else, God is with you. And for all of us here, it's the same thing for us. It's a dynamic relationship that we would have to develop in us. It's a dynamic relationship with God that will allow us to do things that we normally would have a hard time doing. So again, whether you're facing difficulty at this time in your business or maybe in your workplace, in your family, in all these situations, I'd like to encourage you that God is with you. Okay? God is with you. God is the ultimate turnaround specialist. Okay? He's the game changers. That even the world is telling us that there's no hope for the next generation, or if your situation right now is telling you that there's no hope, let me just remind you that God is the ultimate turnaround specialist. He is the game changer of your life. So, and the truth is, God is with us. Give us the fortitude to be able to endure hard times. That God is always with us, and that God allows us to succeed in our life. Which brings us to our next characteristic that I'm going to tell you, which is found in Genesis chapter 39, verse 3. It says here, his master saw that the Lord was with him, and the Lord caused all that he did to success in his hands. So, in the NIV version po, nakita po natin dito that when his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord gave him success in everything he did. So, this, we can see, second point natin is about excellence. Okay? One thing of us that, for us to make an impact sa mga, if you're a young person here, you want to make an impact sa campuses mo, you need excellence. People wants to see you growing in excellence. And one thing that all of us can observe in the story of Joseph is the truth that he was someone who was able to succeed. That everything he does succeed excellently. Joseph would excel in every given responsibility that has been given sa kanya ni Potiphar and later on in Pharaoh. And starting with these things, his master would give him even position. Yet, it is interesting to note that Joseph's success is intertwined with his relationship with God. That yes, it is important for us to have faith, and once you are grounded in your faith with God, then you can be excellent in everything that you do. You see Joseph's wisdom and discernment, his willingness to be a servant, all amidst of yung mga unfavorable circumstances sa buhay niya. Yung mga times that binenta siya, parang all the betrayals that he had received before, it was turned into somebody that he grew in wisdom and discernment. And now, let me just say something about excellence. Kasi sometimes po, when we think about excellence, iniisip natin is just, parang yung excellence po kasi is not just simply doing our best. Although that is true, but excellence involves service and faithfulness, doing things diligently. Excellence does not begin externally, but it begins internally sa puso po natin. And eventually, the success and fruitfulness outside will be a byproduct of what is being produced inside of us. And another thing about excellence po is that excellence is not just a one-time thing. So it is being developed over time. It is being developed through times. And through excellence can often go unnoticed. There is an element consistency that goes with it. So, minsan inisip natin, yes, the excellence internally, but it will manifest po sa actions natin. And see, for example po, kakatapos lang ng NBA Finals and in the life of Kevin Durant, si Kevin Durant po, LeBron James has mentioned to him that I would say that he's the most consistent basketball player as far as the MVP this year is concerned. He's put up some great numbers. And you know what? In the life of Kevin Durant is a believer, and you know, when you check his backpack, what you can see is an iPad, a Bible, a headphone, and just a cell phone charger. So makikita po natin what he values, and we can see that Kevin Durant values his faith. And not just that, kilala naman natin lahat din si Stephen Curry na he is so bold in sharing his faith na even yung shoes niya, nilalagay pa yan doon ng mga life verses niya, and even yung Nike nag-pull back sa kanya ng endorsement sa kanya because parang they don't want parang yung mga shoes nila having that verse, pero si Stephen Curry po stood his stand in terms of his faith na he will not be affected by that. And not just that, not just his faith, but also, of course, his excellence. And that's the reason why I believe the President and Champion is because of the faith that they have in God, and of course the excellence that they were doing. And the same can be said in Joseph's excellence. We can see that Joseph was an excellent leader. That when he was 30 years old, he was appointed by Pharaoh to really serve in the kingdom. And throughout 12 years that Joseph was sold, he became a slave and became a prisoner. Okay, Joseph excelled in the roles that was given to him. And for all of us, again, we have to listen, excel, and do our best in everything that we do. And if you're, again, for the next generation leader, do your best in studying. Do your best in your academics, in your roles as in a student organization. And if you do so, that is a platform where you can share God's truth. That is a platform where you can actually influence people into believing God. And Matthew chapter 5 verse 16 also says, in the same way, let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. And that is the reason why we need to excel, because we want to give glory to God. And if you're working with a team, your workplace, don't see your teammates as a competition, but excel in doing your work. If you're a housewife here, excel. Impart yung mga kapitbahay mo, be an encouragement to them. If you're a business, don't waste time, don't compromise, and work hard. And for the parents, give your best in parenting your children, and in your relationship with your spouse, for the husbands, be an example to others so that a lot of people will really see you making an impact sa community mo. Okay? And do your best consistently, because when you do that, God is really honored, God is glorified. when we do our best to Him, when we continue to excel on what He has given us. Okay? And continuing with our story, again, the first one we need to make an impact is faith. The next is excellence. And the third one is leadership. Here on this verse, we can see that in verse 39, chapter 4, verse 6, so Joseph found favor in his sight and attended him, and he made him an overseer of his house, put him in charge of all that he had. So he left all that he had in Joseph's charge. And because of him, he had no concern about anything but the food he ate. Okay? Joseph was made an overseer. Okay? Because of his faith, because of the excellence that he was doing, na-notice yung character niya. Okay? And that's the reason why he was appointed as an overseer. Okay? He was put in charge of all that he had. Okay? Whatever was entrusted to him. And not just sabi nga, parang he was in charge. Okay? Joseph's charge, and because of him, yung Potiphar mismo had no concern about anything, okay? But just the food that he ate. Okay? And again, we really need to excel in leadership. And interestingly, we see leadership and capacity to serve and stewardship of Joseph develop not only sa household ni Potiphar, but even to the most downtrodden place he would be in, like yung nakulong po siya. And here, amidst being placed in prison, si Joseph po ay na-practice din niya yung kanyang leadership, okay, yung kanyang leadership sa loob ng preso. And in Genesis chapter 39, verse 22 and 23 says there, and the keeper of the prison put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners. Okay, he was put in charge of all the prisoners in the prison, and whatever was done there, he was the one who did it. Okay, the keeper of the prison paid no attention to anything that was in Joseph's charge, because the Lord was with him, and whatever he did, the Lord made it succeed. And again, many times in the verses on this chapter, there was mentioned that the Lord was with him. Okay, the Lord was with him. Everything that he does succeed. He excelled in everything, and that's the reason why he is being appointed as an overseer, even if he is in prison. Okay, and now in Genesis chapter 40, verse 1 to 4, sabi dito, sometime after this, the cupbearer of the king of Egypt and his baker committed an offense against their lord the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was angry with his two officers, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker. And he put them in custody in the house of the captain of the guard in the prison where Joseph was confined. The captain of the guard appointed Joseph. So, yes, yung servant mismo ng Pharaoh, yung cupbearer niya, si Joseph pa din po yung nag-took charge in terms of leading doon sa prison. And in Mark 10:42 to 45, we can see here how Jesus Christ exhorted his disciple with this verse. Sabi niya dito, and Jesus called them to him and said to them, you know that those who are considered rulers of the Gentiles lord over them, and the great ones exercise authority over them. But it shall not be so among you, but whoever would be great among you must be your servant. And whoever would be first among you must be slave of all, for even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. And if we can recall yung shinare po ni Pastor Lloyd last week, that yes, leadership is about service. And that is one characteristic or heart of the leader, service. And for us to be able to serve in whatever situation and in whatever circumstances, again, we have to serve. And now, in our workplaces, ano po ba yung mga service na ginagawa natin? Okay? Or if we have taken any position sa ating workplace, are we using it just for authority, or are we also using it for service? And to the next generation, again, we are reminding you that leadership is service. And service in leadership is not the means to an end. That as you serve, you will become a leader. Rather, leadership is the means upon which we serve. You see, like Joseph, he used his leadership to better serve the people around him. Okay, served niya yung mga prisoner, diba? And the people that was entrusted to him. So, One day, again, for the young people, you will be in positions of leadership. And our heart is that you would lead to serve those around you. And as you do so, you will see that through your leadership, through service, you can also make an impact in changing the world. And now, so the question is, why is Joseph in prison? Bakit ba siya na prison? And what led him to be in the prison? And what led him from being a manager doon sa household ni Potiphar to being a prisoner. And that would direct us in our last point, which is integrity. Okay, for us to make an impact, we need to have integrity. Kaya po siya napunta sa prison is because here in Genesis chapter 39 verse 7 to 10, it says there, and after a time his master's wife cast her eyes on Joseph and said, lie with me. But he refused and said to his master's wife, behold, because of me, my master has no concern about anything in the house, and he has put everything that he has in my charge. He is not greater in this house than I am, nor has he kept back anything from me, except you, because you are his wife. How then can I do great wickedness and sin against God? And as she spoke to Joseph day after day, he would not listen to her, to lie beside her or to be with her. So here we can see kung ilang beses siya tinim ng Potiphar's wife. And again, in verse 10, sabi parang day after day, right? He's being tempted day after day. Meron siyang, kumbaga, palagi siyang parang ina-attract ng Potiphar's wife, but he would not listen to her. Okay? He has that integrity. Natakot siya, hindi lang sa master niya who was entrusted to him yung service ng time na yun, but he, of course, yung great fear niya of God. And in verse 8 and 9, we see that not only he has a deeper understanding of his position, but we see his faithfulness. Na he is faithful to refuse, not to compromise. And Joseph knew that he was a steward, and God has entrusted to him yung mga responsibility with integrity. And if you come to think of it, integrity can be costly to us. Okay? Choosing to make the right decision every day, not just in your work area, but again in the campuses. There are so many pressures around us, and choosing to make the right decision, choosing to honor God in our lives can really be costly. Okay? It can actually cause pain, but yet it is, yet it is worth it. Okay? Because at the end of the day, we are not living this life for ours, but we are living this life to honor God and please Him. And even in Proverbs chapter 28, verse 6 says, better is a poor man who walks in his integrity than a rich man who is crooked in his ways. So at the end of the day, it was better for Joseph to be placed in prison than to compromise his integrity, than to compromise yung things that has been entrusted to him. Joseph's integrity was rooted in him knowing his place. Okay? He understood that he was under God. He understood that he was under God. He understood that it is better to face and endure discomfort just to please God. Okay? Than sacrifice yung mga relational dynamics. And again, for the next generation, I am talking to you right now that we have, with all the challenges, with all the pressures around us, you still have that integrity to say no when people are putting pressures on you. Okay? At the end of the day, don't let that one small compromise to destroy your life, because God has prepared something for you in the future. Okay? And even for us, for some of you who are working, don't cheat. Okay? Don't drum up with numbers in terms of giving good reports, but the Bible says that things will eventually be put into light. So as you continue to persevere and have that integrity in your heart, I believe that God is honored and would really put you in a position of faith in your life. Now, again, those are the 4 things that we need to do in terms of us making an impact, not just in the lives of yung mga people around us, but most especially for our next generation. And I said in the beginning, Joseph became a world changer because he lived a life of leadership, he lived a life of integrity, he lived a life of faith and excellence. Joseph would see the world around him change. And at the end of his life, the world and the life of the cupbearer became different. So hindi lang yung Potiphar yung nagano sa kanya, but even the Pharaoh at that time. And Egypt was never going to be the same again, apart from what God has done through him. And in everything that had happened in Joseph's life that led him being used by God to change around him, one thing remained constant, that all throughout all the seasons na challenges ng buhay niya, that God was with him. God was with him. Amidst all the greatness that Joseph has accomplished, God was with him. Through the times that he had challenges, betrayed, he was sold as a slave, from the time that in temptation with the Potiphar's wife, God has been with him, and God was with him. There was God in his life. And the same thing can be said to us, can be said to the next generation, even to our lives as well. We will be changed this world together today and in the future because someone is with us, and that is God. And that is Emmanuel. God is with us. It says here in Matthew chapter 1 verse 23, "Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel," which means God is with us. So again, we can change the world because God's presence is with us. God will not depart from us. Most of us know that the person being talked about here is Jesus Christ, the Emmanuel. You see the next generation, before you can change the world, God wants us to change our world. God wants to change us so that we can also change the world. God wants to set us free. God wants us to liberate. God wants to make us a new creation because He wants us to give glory and to make an impact. Because again, before you can change the world, God lovingly wants to change ours. And God does this because of Jesus Christ. So again, Jesus came here, experienced all that He had experienced, hunger, sleep, suffering, labor, and all. Yet He did not sin and live a perfect life. And I believe that despite of all the challenges that we have around, we have to be reminded of our Emmanuel, Jesus Christ. We can change the world because God's presence is with us, and we can change the world as we live our lives in leadership, integrity, faith, and excellence. Thank you, Bob. Let's pray.
So may mga points po, lalo na yung isama doon sa faith. And I think you very nicely kasi binukin ko yung and the Lord was with him, di ba? The Lord was with Joseph. At yun gumawa sa kanya to be prosperous, to succeed in all things that he did. Ang gusto ko dun sa yung marami nangyayari kay Joseph dito a lot of them are not good. Mga challenges. Pero even if you have excellence, you have integrity, you have faith, you have leadership, pag nangyayari sa atin na yung mga pangit na bagay, so easy to throw all those things out of the window, di ba? Pero here, Joseph, because he knew that God was with him, he had faith, he had strong faith. Despite of the things happening to him, na hindi maganda, kasi nag-slave siya, binenta siya ng mga kapatid niya, so easy for him to be discouraged, or even to be angry, di ba? And yet he was faithful. At nandun pa rin yung kanyang integrity, nandun pa rin yung kanyang faith, nandun pa rin yung kanyang excellence in everything na binigay sa kanya. And because of that, nag-succeed siya. So, yun yung importanteng lesson na nakuha ko dun sa preaching mo na as long as you have to end, as long as you know that God is with you, regardless of situation, you can still serve and not throw all those things out the window. So, yun yung yung take out ko dun sa preaching.
mainit na mainit pa. So, para maging ma-inspire yung mga youth na papatuloy nila, ibigay nila yung either excellence sa dating what they're doing sa school and even sa sport, no? And para maging ma-inspire sila na magpatuloy sila, ibigay lahat yung best nila. At ganun din yung tumayo sila sa faith nila na parang kamukha nung may Stephen Curry na kung ayaw nga nung Nike yung first, parang sa school minsan ayaw ng mga kaibigan nila na church o sa pero katayo pa rin sila sa faith nila na at the end of the day, kumbaga marirealize din naman ng bawat isa at may encourage din yung mga class na and even their family may encourage din na kung ano man yung faith na pinangahawakan nila.
Signing off, Pastor Lloyd.
Yes, case of the, yeah.